we'll call the December 7th, 2022 meeting order. Bruce, you want to go through the roll call?
Yes, Chair. Robert Hannon,
I'm here.
Robert Eisner,
Here.
Ned Stachin,
Here.
Rich Berlandi.
Here.
David Fox.
Here.
Neil Kelsey. Mark Simpson.
Here.
Robert Canto. And Emily Brick. All right, Chair, it's all yours.
Thank you. First item up on the agenda is 2016 Mountain Road.
All right, sir, here we go. All right, Tim, and I have the applicant online. Tom?
Yep. Hi, Tom Grimaldi, Principal Engineer from Hiltbrand Engineers. I was here last month with you folks. We reviewed the septic repair in 2016 Mountain Road. If you'd like, I can go over it again just to refresh your memories a bit. There's an existing septic tank on the north side of the house that feeds two leaching fields, one behind the dwelling, one on the north side of the dwelling, and a small gray water dry well to the back of the dwelling.
Oh, yep.
And they all average, some of them are within 20 feet of the wetland, or less than 20 feet of the wetlands, and within 20 feet of the water course. The proposed system is on the south side of the dwelling. It's in two separate areas. We split the system because we had an existing well. We received a variance to the well from the State Department of Public Health, and it was a couple other small variances from the Farmington Valley Health District. The proposed closest section of the leach field to the inland wetlands is just under 42 feet, perpendicular to the wetlands, and closer to 48 feet perpendicular to the actual leach field and the downward flow perpendicular to contours. So if you go from that corner, Bruce, yeah, right in the, right up against the 40-foot linear foot there. Right. So where the leach field is, from there, perpendicular to contours, straight down the slope is about 48 feet. And that's the direction of the flow.
Mhm.
The system will be pumped. We're putting a new tank in and a pump chamber. The tank and the pump chamber will be made watertight. And it'll be pumped around the front of the dwelling to avoid having to do any work behind the dwelling and excavate in closer proximity to the inland wetland limit. So we're saw cutting under the driveway. We're bringing it up around, sneaking it between the ledge and the leach field. And we have a splitter distribution box, DB number 1, that says baffled. That'll split the flow to the portion of the leach field towards the back of the house and then the one up by the road. Tire systems are in fill. Our biggest issue was ledge and unsuitable soils and downslope areas outside of the system. It was a tough one, but we got it done, and we got our approvals from Farmington Valley Health and the State Department of Public Health. And I'd be happy to entertain any questions.
Okay. Thank you. Rich, start with you. Any questions, comments?
No, no questions. Looks like you've done the best you can with a very tight site. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Dave?
Just the same observation and no questions. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Robert?
No questions.
Thank you. Mark?
The only question is, I have, what's the proximity to the nearest house to the septic system?
To the nearest house, besides
Yeah.
the subject property you're talking about.
Exactly.
So I don't know the distance, but would be to the left-hand side of the map. If you could just pan that direction, Bruce. I don't know if
Yeah,
we
hold
can.
on. I'm just gonna I'm gonna do one better if I can.
You gotta bring up the GIS?
Yep.
There you
All
go.
right. Stop the share. Share screen. All right. Get this out of the way here. There you go.
Yeah, there's 26.
Yep.
So
So-
that would be,
Let me see, hold on, I can get this out of the way. So between the houses, I mean, I don't have the septic system on here, but the house is 177 feet uphill, and the next downhill house is roughly 150 feet.
So
Does that
there's
help?
no, yeah, well, I didn't know, you're talking about it's ledge and soil and everything else. I know you're gonna improve, I just wanted to make sure, proximity to other people's homes, if there's any issues, how close that they would be impacted. That's all. Thank you.
you're welcome.
All right, thanks, Mark. Ned?
No questions.
I do have some, just for clarification purposes, and looking over the application to the Farmington Valley Health District, their comments, and Public Health's letter. Did you do perk tests in the area? And if so, what were the rates based on the testing?
Yeah, we did a perk rate. If you go to the second sheet,
Oh, second.
it'll actually give you the rates.
All right, give me a second here.
It's between 10 and 20 minutes per inch.
Where is it?
Okay.
Right
So,
there.
There it is, right in the lower
Yep.
left-hand corner.
so with that as the understanding, I guess where I'm a little confused is it talks about in the application to the Farmington Valley Health District, it talks about provide a recent sieve of septic sand and C33 sand. Now, is this an engineered system or is it,
Yes, it's an
Okay.
engineered system,
So with
and
sand
that
fill?
requirement is a requirement for construction.
okay,
So once the fill is placed, I'll be required to go out and do a percolation test within the sand fill packages. So I'll have to do one in each one. And then we have to have a wet sieve provided to the Farmington Valley Health to make sure it meets the state health department specifications.
okay. No, thank you. I appreciate the explanation. Looking at the Farmington Valley Health District, again, I guess it's an acknowledgement request for approval of exception. I noticed that the first item, which is less than required 75 feet, can be provided 25 feet between existing well and proposed leaching system. And that was item number 1 on the notice of exception from Public Health. But I didn't see anything in the Public Health letter associated with the exception for the required 15 feet between the proposed leaching system and side property line, or the 25 feet between proposed distribution pipe between systems. So I just want to make sure that those were actually covered in some document so that the exceptions that you were looking for are in fact part of this package that we're looking at.
Yes, the exceptions on the Farmington Valley Health District letter are the exceptions that are stated by Farmington Valley Health, exactly what we need. So what has to happen with that, Farmington Valley Health writes those exceptions out on their approval, but prior to the approval, the homeowner has to acknowledge the exceptions. And by doing so, they acknowledge that it's not completely code compliant. There are exceptions with the Farmington Valley Health and the State Department of Public Health. And they have to provide those exceptions to a buyer in a real estate transaction. So they have to disclose that as part of that acknowledgement.
Okay, now, I just wanted to double check to make sure that sort of the i's were dotted and the t's were crossed on this. I don't have a problem with what's being proposed. But again, I'm looking at some things and I just wasn't sure exactly why or if they were covered by an approval. So I thank you for that information. Other than that, I have nothing else. So I guess based on what we did the last time, we did accept the application and we said it was non-significant activity. So I think at this point in time, Bruce, we're just able to go ahead and vote on the application.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, so based on the comments that I heard from people or lack thereof, where there doesn't seem to be any opposition on this, would somebody care to make a motion to approve the application? And one of the things, Bruce, I didn't get a chance to do was look to see if there were any conditions.
Nope,
based on-
Nope, I left it open. I just left it open to others as discussed during the meeting. Erosion control was taken care of with silt socks and everything else was addressed, so.
Okay. So would somebody care to make a motion to approve the application?
Don't move, Ned.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second?
Second, Rich.
Okay, thank you. To have a motion on the table to go ahead and approve the application at 2016 Mountain Road for the installation of a septic system that will repair an existing system. So all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining. Good luck with the project.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your time. It was a pleasure working with your commission. It's the first time I worked with you in a long time. And
Thanks, Tom.
I have to say it's very professionally run. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda, lot 8745 River Road.
Good evening.
Hi.
Yep.
This is Todd Clark from Blue Moon Design. This is hopefully Ashley's property, my daughter. As you all know, we froze to death out there with a site walk. Pretty much we've sort of reviewed a few things and walked the site a few more times just to see what we'd be able to do with the land, and we're pretty content with what we're offering. Basically, I'm not sure I can add anything more than what we've already discussed out at the site and previous meetings. If you had any questions, or feel free to fire away.
Okay, before I go to some of the commissioners, do they have any questions or comments? I just want to verify with Bruce, we accepted the application, but we held off on a determination for significance, correct?
Yes,
So
That
that
is,
is something
correct.
we need to do tonight. Okay, thank you. Ned?
Well, I kind of I had mentioned at the site meeting that whether there was any investigation into doing or looking into an alternative of having the front entrance elevation be lower than or at least the side that faces the river be lower, and that the back elevation be higher in an effort to reduce the amount of grading that would have to be done. And by reducing the amount of regrading, it would be, I think, reduce the amount of clearing that would have to be done. And I didn't really see anything to that, whether it was investigated or not. I just, I don't know. I thought that this could be, at least, it should at least be investigated as to how that could be done. And if it was, because I think it is a prudent alternative, and to have a different elevation entrance in the front and the rear, so that, it's a home that's built into the existing grade, as opposed to regrading, a back, a small backyard into this. And so I don't know if that's really a question, but I really didn't comment that I didn't see much effort being put into taking that into account.
Well, I can take that on just personally. This is my husband and I's first and probably only home we plan to age in place. And that's a large part of why we are designing it ourselves, is that we are trying to do a first floor living so that we don't have to have those concerns in the future. We've lived on second, stories and have to go up and down stairs. And at this time, it's just, not something we want to consider, unfortunately. We would just like to have a one floor living opportunity.
Okay, it's just that means there's a lot more work that has to be done to the site, and that's a disruption to the area and a disruption to the, to the anything that could possibly get into the river. So I don't know. I have concerns about that. But that's all I have.
Okay, thanks, Ned. Mark?
The only thing, just looking at this quickly, have we talked about the conservation area? I'm just looking at this. Like across the street, do we establish something there?
No, no, the Farmington Land Trust property owns property up to here. They own along, I'll say between that common drive and the river. I can go to the GIS if you want to see it, but it stops right here. So I just put it down as an option for consideration, was if the commission wanted to lock that in as well. So.
Is the neighbor next door have a conservation area, or is that?
No, I looked and I
that's
could not, I
something-
mean, the CLMP, or you know what? Let me do this. Let me just show the area a little better. Maybe that'll help. It's just down the street too. All right, so this is the lot in question, okay? If I zoom out a little bit, you can see the land trust owns pretty much from here all the way down to where the trail crossing is at the bridge. I think they actually own this piece too. Yeah, they actually own that piece and that piece. So they own from railroad, from the end of Railroad Avenue all the way over to here. All right. This is owned by Eversource. Okay. Get that over here.
And it's not
That's owned by Eversource, and there was no easement I could find. And this is owned by a residential property owner, and there was no easement here as well.
Okay, I just, it doesn't look like it's an area that a lot can be done with anyways, but.
Exactly, yep.
The only concern is any, I don't know how the commission feels, that removal of any trees there would probably would cause problems with the embankment and maybe cause some deterioration. So I don't know how the commission wants to go with it, but it's just concerned about doing any work there would maybe cause a lot of debris and stuff going down into the river. So I just leave it up to everyone what they think they should do.
The road, the driveway is actually higher than the inboard side of the land. So as far as like stuff going across the driveway or the common driveway into the river isn't really likely, because the driveway is actually higher. So the low spots are really to the little bit of the left and right of the houses. So, but we're going to do a sediment control and all that sort of stuff. But my only concern is really when you stand where you are and elevate yourself to the first floor, looking out to the front. The only concern that would be like the scrub brush that might be growing. Ashley and Andrew have no reason to cut down trees because the view is downhill. So it's not, they wouldn't be touching any trees. So no, the view is downhill.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I just didn't want a lot of activity in that area. It's because it could spill over into the river. That's all.
Yeah.
So, well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Is that it, Mark?
That's it. Thank you.
Okay. I believe Neil's on the line.
Oh, is Neil back in?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I was late. I joined about 7:15. I was
Oh, yeah.
helping I was setting up for the referendum tomorrow and lost track of time.
No excuses, all right?
Yeah, you know.
No, thank you. I didn't even hear you, up in, so thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I don't have any questions at this time. I appreciate the time spent and the information we learned on the sidewalk.
Thank you. Robert?
No questions.
Okay, thank you. Dave?
No questions. I think I would be in favor of an easement
Okay, thank you. Rich?
on the river.
Yeah, the only question I really have is if the property owner would be amenable to a conservation easement from, there's 2 iron pipes that are shown on the boundary. If you drew a straight line between those 2 to the river, if the property owner might consider that a conservation easement in that area, just to protect the river. That's my only question.
I guess my general stance, my husband and I's general stance is that we just don't know enough about conservation easement. Bruce and Shannon did inform us that it can happen at any point, including after the decision of this wetlands hearing or meeting. So at this time, we're not comfortable just because we do not know what that fully entails. This has taken up the majority of our time just to get this far. So we would like to table that at this time.
Well, yeah, I think we had discussed a little bit, the conservation easement more or less just doesn't allow anything to be, anything to be constructed on there. I think we
Right.
all agree that you're not gonna build anything on there, it's too steep.
We won't, yeah.
I mean, what it does is technically you can't cut anything in there either with a conservation easement. You wouldn't be able to cut anything now with an upland review as well, but it just maintains the natural diversity of the property. So all it is that as the commissioner was saying, there would be a line between this point. So off the edge of the driveway, if you were to connect this point, nothing can be built in there, or you can't cut trees. You can use it. You can use it for the recreation, like you talked about walking down there to fish. You can do that. You can do all of that. You just cannot use it for clearing, constructing things and things like that. And really,
When you say clearing, does that mean like scrub brush and stuff? They wouldn't be
if you're
able
going to do, I know you guys had talked about removing some of the invasives. So you are allowed to do that. If there is a dead tree in there, you call us up and you go, hey, this tree is dead. It's going to fall on my house. We go out there and go, yeah, it's dead. Cut it, But if you want to
Okay,
cut a gorgeous 42-inch oak that's sitting there and say, hey, I don't like that tree. No.
I don't
Yeah.
think there are.
No, but you know what I'm getting at is that
Yeah.
you can cut anything dead. It just all it is just good forest management is what it does. So
Okay, so the thing that I mentioned before is the view of the river, right? So
Yep.
if there's like scrub brush in there, thicket or whatever's, it starts to grow up where it starts to impede the view. They're not looking to cut down trees. God knows how much that would cost on an embankment like that. But on top of that, it's like, if there's undergrowth that's starting to get taller where it's blocking the view of the river, this is a big, huge reason why they would be buying this piece of land. Even when we were out there, there was a crane out in the middle of the river and all that stuff. And we sort of positioned ourselves where the first floor would be. And it won't take too much brush to like impede the view. So what happens if they want to keep that low, do they have permission to cut brush down, or do they have to come before you for the brush?
if it's an invasive type material, then yes, just a simple call to us and you would do your annual, and the only reason I say call us is because if you go in there and you start cutting and then a homeowner calls and says, hey, they're cutting along the river, and then we go out there, we have no proof what it looked like before. So then it
Right.
becomes a finger pointing thing. So anything you're doing along that edge, you give us a call that year and say, hey, look, Bruce, we're looking to do this. Great, fine. You know what I mean? We just
But
document it.
you've used the word invasive species. What if it isn't invasive species and the stuff is growing up to block their view.
Well,
Again, the trees
you
don't
are-
bother us because the
No.
canopies are high, so they just want to see the river, right?
Understood, but you're also
Yep.
within the 150-foot upland review area. So anything you guys clear, you really can't do any kind of cutting or clearing or anything within 150-foot upland review area without the planning or without the approval of the Inland Wetlands Commission. So if you're looking to keep the top of that bank cleared off, you really need their approval as well. So you're good because there is like a grass, as you look in here, the tree line is here. You can keep that all vegetated or all of it maintained. But as soon as you get off of that grass area or whatever it was, and you get into the wooded area, you're really not allowed to do any cutting of trees or any brush or anything without the commission's approval. And like the Commissioner Fox had said, we're very concerned with what is on that embankment. I mean, you start cutting anything along that embankment, you really don't want to damage anything because the trees, the brush, that is what's holding that embankment together right now. You definitely don't want to start having that erode. So to be honest
So I
with you,
guess here's
think
my
there's-
position is that we aren't going to own this piece of land at the time of this decision. It is still, we are still being given the authority to pull these permits and get approval within our purchase contract with Olga. So I can't say, yes, I would do it today. In general, we have no planned development on that side of the river or on that side of the shared driveway. We do like a woodsy lot, that is our preference, is to keep it very wooded. That's what's drawing us to this one, particular lot in general. So for our own safety, for, peace and quiet, you guys all were out there on the site walk and you're like, wow, it's pretty quiet here. I think in general, I don't want to get rid of that nice quality of the trees and of the wooded lot. I think I'm not entirely sure on where we stand with, being able to say yes or no with Olga. So that's why I said I was going to.
That doesn't, that doesn't have anything to do with Olga, because what it would do, it would be a condition of approval. So what they're saying is, if you get this approval, then if you get planning and zoning approval, then at that point, when you close on the lot, then you would file the easement. The easement doesn't get attached to the lot as soon as they vote tonight. It's only as a condition of approval. So as a part of this development. So if this does not get built, then the easement doesn't go through. Okay.
Yeah, because to follow up on that.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
One of the concerns people have is if you, looking at this map, when you see the slopes, cutting down some of the shrubs, may not be that big of a deal depending upon how they're cut. If you start yanking them out and you take out the root ball as well, that's going to open up that whole area to erosion issues. I mean, so there may be ways of doing some maintenance out there. But I'm leaning towards a conservation easement simply because of the slope of the property and the proximity to the wetlands. I mean, I'm more concerned about the slope area, which I think the comment that was raised earlier is where those two iron pins were located. They're pretty much along the tree line right now, but it also looks fairly close to the top of the slope. And that's kind of what we would be looking at trying to maintain and preserve over in that area. Because I mean, it's a little flatter up on the north side. I don't see the north arrow, but I'm assuming that's the north side. And down by the south side, you're a lot closer to the 207 elevation, and you've got, you're sloping down from there. So that's sort of the big thing. And again, as Bruce was saying, is that we're not necessarily saying that you can't do anything out there, but it's also making sure that you come back and talk at least to town staff to see if there's something that can in fact be done. I mean, one of the biggest things we see in conservation easements really is, especially with emerald ash borer and a whole bunch of other things that are going around now and how a lot of trees are dying. you've got to be able to take out the dead trees to make sure that it doesn't adversely impact anybody. Nobody wants that. You know, so that's something that I think staff has been very good about. It. We as a commission have been good about. But again, still trying to make sure that we're maintaining and preserving that embankment right along the river, because it's taken time to get there, and just want to make sure that it stays stable, as I'm sure I think you would as well.
Yeah, I intend on being a great custodian of this land. I mean, we have friends that are arborists too, so you know, we aren't saying that we would come in here and just clear everything. We
Yeah,
don't want to do
I
that at
understand
all.
that.
And I appreciate the structural integrity. Obviously, we want that to be upheld too. So it sounds like that we would have to come before you guys anyways to do any sort of clearing. So I'm comfortable with where I am tabling the decision for now, but we would come to you if we had to clear any sort of trees for the upland review area anyway. So right now I would not do the conservation, but it sounds like you guys will be able to give us approval for any tree removal or any shrub removal when it's the appropriate time for that.
Well, you may not be willing to go forward, but I'm not sure the commission is going to say that that's the way they want to go with it. So just letting you
Okay.
know.
I wouldn't vote for this without a conservation easement, just to make it clear.
So, I mean, I don't have any other questions. I mean, those were my comments, and I was primarily just listening to the dialogue about the conservation easement, because I do think that's something that's important. So, I mean, and again, it's, you know, hopefully everything goes well for you here. You're able to close on the lot and everything is fine in that respect. And then how I'm reading the commission, it almost sounds like that it is a sort of a condition of approval that they would want to see the conservation area along the property, especially the Farmington River side of it, and basically going from the 2 iron pins on the site. So just advising of that. So I don't have any other comments or questions on it. I do want to, I don't have an issue with this being a significant activity either. I mean, I think the way the driveway is set up, the existing bituminous concrete driveway that's there, and how the lot slopes away from the road, I'm not overly concerned about stuff crossing over the existing driveway right of way. Erosion control measures can take care of that staying on the lot. But again, I go back to the embankment and just trying to make sure that that's clear. But I don't have an issue with this being a significant activity. I do not think that it is. So I'll just go around and ask folks their opinion. Rich?
No, I don't consider this a significant activity.
Okay, Dave?
I agree.
Okay, Robert?
Agree, non-significant regulated activity.
Okay, Neil?
I agree.
Mark?
I agree.
Ned?
I'm on the fence.
Okay. Well, while you're on the fence, based on everything else I've heard, would somebody like to make a motion to determine that this is not a significant activity?
So moved by Eisner.
Is there a second?
Second by Rich.
Okay, so have a motion on the floor to state that this is not a significant activity. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Abstaining? Okay, so it's a 6-1 vote, I believe. So it's not a significant activity, which means we don't need a public hearing on it. And I don't think this warrants a public hearing. So based on comments, does somebody want to make a motion on approving the application? And if so, do you want or do you not want to include a conservation easement area along the Farmington River?
Before you vote as well, I do have a list of a few other comments,
Okay.
conditions in the agenda. One of them was for some silt fence and straw wattle.
Yep,
Rain garden to collect, infiltrate runoff from the driveway. Test pits, the conservation easement, and then anything else that the commission may have.
okay. I didn't hear anything else at least raised at this point in time.
Yep,
Um,
Exactly.
So would somebody care to make a motion to that effect?
This is Rich. I'd make a motion to approve the application subject to the conservation easement condition and the other conditions that were just mentioned.
Okay, is there a second?
Dave will second.
Okay. So there's a motion on the floor to approve the application, and I guess it's 4 conditions. One is installation of silt fence and straw wattle encompassing the construction area, installation of rain garden to collect and infiltrate runoff from the driveway, perform test bits prior to construction to confirm ability of soil to infiltrate runoff, and conservation easement along, I guess, the west side of the Farmington River. And I think we were initially talking about based on the 2 iron pipes.
Yep.
There's a straight line on that, so it's running parallel to the existing concrete driveway right of way.
We could be, we can just say in that approximate area, and then if as part of it, if staff needs to tweak it just a little bit, we can do that.
Yeah, and that's fine. So have that motion on the floor. So all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
I
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Okay, so it is approved.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank
thank you, Ashley.
Appreciate it.
Next on the agenda, we have the cease and desist. I took some photos that I attached. These were from the end of November. These were actually right after the hay bales were installed. So this is, if you're looking, I'm on Apple Tree here. So this is the left side. We had them put some along the swale here. This is on the opposite side of the driveway, the larger swale that comes on the right-hand side. So all this comes down through there. So you can see they come up and around. So he's got a myriad of hay bales, check dams all the way up through here. This is all the backyard still. There's no erosion control on the yard at all for that portion yet.
That pile of tree parts?
Yep, that was from the clearing, I think. Right,
Okay.
that right there.
Yep,
Yeah. So there's been a couple things. I've been trying to get a hold of the applicant who's on tonight. It was a while to work out the semantics of how to put the hay bales in and get that all done. George Logan, who's not on tonight, he said he would be. I didn't see him on, but I know he was ill for most of the week last week, so he hasn't had a chance to get out there. But I know there's been some difficulty trying to get a hold of the property owner to make this all happen and get this all worked out. So as he said, the meeting was on when was the meeting? On the 6th, Sandy? I forgot. The 2nd. And this was the 22nd. So it took almost 3 weeks to get these things installed. So, and that's all we got done. We still don't have anything in the yard as well, because we had talked last meeting about doing some hydro seeding or some, and George was talking about with a little bit of a tackifier in it to make it stick, throwing some seed in there. Hopefully something took before, in the early part of November when it was still warm. But at this point, I don't think you're gonna get anything to grow. However, there's still no erosion control or all in the backyard. There's no straw or there's no hay or nothing. All we have is the swales. So pretty much it's confined. Everything everything, any flow off-site will need to go through these hay bales.
We had some significant rainfall, was it last week?
Yes,
Do we have any indication that that made things worse?
that it made it worse in terms of more.
Where the erosion is, yeah.
No, this was the 22nd, so that was, the rain was, we had heavy rain last night. I did not get out there today. I did not have a chance to get out there. But as of the rain, I think this was after the rain, if I'm not mistaken, because yeah, there was a rainstorm. I had some emails back and forth wanting to get this stuff done. So this was all installed after those heavier rains.
Yeah, because that's my concern. We keep having bad weather, and
Mhm.
and if we don't get the erosion control in there, it's just going to make matters worse.
So
If you're looking
the
at this
plan was to
picture,
try to walk the property with George Logan and the owner again, when George was feeling better, to kind of go over the whole thing, but I guess he may not have gotten better enough to do a site walk yet.
Yeah, Bruce, even looking at this picture, I mean, I can't tell if that's a little bit of ice down there, which I doubt based on how the temperatures have been.
Oh, hearing me?
Yeah, but it almost looks like there's a bunch of fines in there.
Yes, yes. Yeah, the hay bales were first installed. They put them on a V, and then what happened was, there was a big gap. Let me see if I can see. And some of the older ones, yeah, when they put them together, there was a big triangle in here. So I had them dig down and fix it again. So, I mean, the swale, there's enough hay bales to go through. I think to help filter out what flows through there. Unfortunately, there's nothing on site to keep any of this stuff from washing off down into the swales, which is kind of important as
Yeah.
well, because this will be bare throughout the whole winter now. And we'll be getting those, like, days like yesterday where it's cold, but it's only rain, there's no snow. So the top part is frozen, but it'll still erode off site. Up here is where if you recall, we talked a little bit, this is where the wetland continues off site. So there's a wetland up in here, and there's a conservation in here. And I have the plans while we're on that. Oh, I'm on the wrong one here. What was this? All right. So this is the next house. Let me back you guys out so you can kind of see. All right, stop the share. Kind of give you a little bit of a bird's eye view of what's going on out there. Come on. Yeah. So here's the subject property here. Okay, so there's a wetland and a conservation easement that flows down through here, that comes into this swale and then flows down here. So this is that swale that we were looking at with all the hay bales. So in here, so here's the property just upstream. All right. You can see there's the existing house that they rebuilt. Here's the swale, and here's the conservation easement that comes down and flows into there. So there already is a conservation easement up top as part of that lot. That was done in the 90s, I think, early 90s. What's the other one here? Yeah, this was the map from 1990. So again, here's the property to the north. There's the wetland. The jagged line is the wetlands, and the easement is just on the outsides there. I had walked this numerous times when this house was being reconstructed. It's fairly flat, but there is a defined channel or swale that runs down through here. I don't think it flows very fast, but it's very slow and kind of meanders, picks up all that water from like a reservation road north or west and just flows all down through here. This all comes down, goes down Apple Tree. Go back to this here. Goes down Apple Tree, hits the storm drainage system. Comes out, outlets, goes back into New Britain Avenue and flows down through Meadow Lane, all the way down into the flats. At this point, the cease and desist is still active. There's a couple of permits that, as you saw in the pictures, the house is still under reconstruction. But I have not issued any more permits on that property at this point. Because they're in the middle of renovating the home. So there's just the tieback on here now at this point.
I don't remember the property address, but something that we had, I think it was last fall, where the owner of the property started removing most of the soil in his backyard, including exposing the footings of the house down towards the wetland. And even on that situation there, I mean, he was required to put in some of the hay bales, but he was also required to put a lot of straw down to help at least stabilize everything. So I'm curious as to, well, I can't say I'm curious. I'm just kind of surprised that nothing's been done to any of that land that looks like it's been regraded. And looking at the comments that we have, I mean, it looked like this was a vegetated grass wetland area before, you know, everything was sort of stabilized, and now we've come a long way from that stabilized backyard and side yard to what we currently have. So I'm just kind of surprised that there hasn't been more done out at the site other than putting in the hay check dams.
Yeah, here's the near map. This was the near map. This was September 9th. The clearing. And the next page, this is what it looked like in April. So if you flick back and forth, you can see the difference.
Is anybody seeing that? I'm still.
I'm not seeing anything flicking back and forth.
Oh, you're not?
No,
You see
I'm
the,
still looking at the town, the
Oh.
aerial map. Yeah.
I apologize. I didn't.
may have taken your share responsibilities away.
I don't share well with others. All right, see this now?
Yes.
Yep.
All right, so this is what it looked like in September 9th. And then this is what it looked like in April of earlier this year. So April, September. You can see the level of disturbance pretty much from the east all the way up to the west property line. And the swale, as you can see, runs through here, runs up through here, and picks up with that other conservation and wetland up in there.
Terrible.
The applicant is on, so if anyone has any questions, you could definitely ask the applicant.
Bruce, this is Mark. I have one question. You said permits are not, any other work to be done in the house is not allowed right now. Would that also include finishing the siding of the house?
At this point, I have not approved that application. I've been trying to get, my intention was to hold the permit to get this, was to get the erosion control done. And my feeling was, I think that the hay or the straw was just as important as the hay bales in the or the check dams in the swale. So I wanted to get that work done before I would sign off on any kind of a permit.
I think that's sound thinking on your part.
Yeah, you have my support.
Commissioner
But
Eisner.
but-
Go ahead.
The owner has the right to put down, you know, grass cover or hay or whatever it is. I mean, he has that right, but he hasn't done it yet.
Exactly. The
Okay.
intent was to try to get it done early. When we met in the beginning of November, it was still warm, and the intent was try
Yeah.
to get something to hopefully get something to pop. So Commissioner Eisner has his hand raised as well.
Yeah, Bruce, thanks for recognizing that. Do you have any updates from George Logan? I'm just wondering how much depends on George's input.
No, I have not. Like I said, George was sick. I know that right after our November meeting, we were trying to work with the owner to get the work done. It took a while. I think he was trying to get a contractor to do it, then a contractor had backed out. So he ended up doing it himself. So as you said, it almost took like 20 days to get it done. George was trying to get a hold of him. I think George may have had one meeting with him, but then like I said, unfortunately, George was sick last week and a little bit for the week before. So he got hit with the flu bug. He was telling me pretty bad. So he wasn't really ready to do some site walks in the cold. So I think he's feeling better, but I asked him if he was going to join the meeting, and he said he would. So I'm not sure why he didn't attend.
Okay, thanks, Bruce. It doesn't seem like we've made much progress since the November meeting, and I think everything we talked about in November still is applicable. If there needs to be some ground cover put down to stabilize the site over the winter months so that we don't have a problem with a lot of erosion with the rain, snow, freezing and thawing, all that sort of thing. So I encourage the property owner to continue to work with the town staff, and hopefully, Bruce, you can get the input from George going into our next meeting. That's all I have.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, can we ask, since the property owner's on the call, we ask him why he hasn't installed any kind of ground cover? Is he a lack of being able to get a contractor, or?
Absolutely. Go ahead, man.
Oh,
Are you there, Byron?
yes, I had called George, and George couldn't get in contact with me. But he was busy with his daughter having a birth in Rhode Island. So when he got back, I got to talk to him, and he told me that he was sick. And I couldn't, and he told me he was going to give me a call. He never got a chance to give me the call to exactly do the walk site to see what we could have got done. So I talked to a company, and I had told them that the company told me that they don't plant them seeds at this time of the year. And I had informed George about it. And the companies, they told me that they'll do the whole property in March, at the end of March. So Bruce told me to do, I ended up doing it myself, but I didn't know to put the hay on the ground, because I would do that. Because as soon as March hits, they're gonna topsoil the whole property and regrass the whole property. So I would have to wait for the company to do it in March for it to really get the best time out of it.
Yeah, but Byron, we had talked about what they needed to do was maybe the seed doesn't grow. We were hoping it maybe get something to pop, but when they spray the emulsion on there would be a tactifier that would stick to the ground, so it would actually reduce the erosion. Because if you just put hay or straw on that now during one of the winds during in the winter, all that stuff will just blow away. So we were talking about having some kind of tactifier on there so it would stick to help prevent any kind of further erosion. Yes, some of it may not grow, but we need to do something. We just can't sit here and not do anything.
I'm gonna give George a call to see if he could get in contact, if we could go on the site probably tomorrow or the next day or Monday, I'm gonna see how exactly he stands so he could go do a walk site with me. So I can find a different company or something that they're willing to do it.
Bruce, one of the things with the dialogue that was just occurring, I think one of the concerns that I have for March about going out to the site and putting in topsoil, reseeding, I mean, I don't have an issue with that, but I think we need to make pretty sure as to what is going to be topsoiled and seeded. Because it's not going to do any good to go back in and put topsoil in where the wetlands are, basically, end up doing the same thing, and we're back to the beginning again where we destroyed the wetlands.
Oh, exactly. And that was what we had
So
talked about last
that-
week.
That's
Or,
something
last
that's
month.
going to have to be worked out logistically with the town to figure out what can or cannot be done there. I'm just a little concerned. I mean, again, I do think that yes, the topsoil and the seeding is going to be needed, but based on what's happened at the site, I'm concerned that we might be right back into the same boat again. So
We had talked last month or at that last meeting that we wanted a plan. The intention was get the erosion control down, and then most likely beginning of the year, we would start with the wetlands restoration plan. So between George, my staff, and the commission, we would get a plan approved for implementation, as you said, beginning in March. So yes, the whole area should not be topsoiled. There's going to be a restoration plan of some sort, either plantings or what, that's going to have to be done as part of this. So.
So the big thing I think that needs to be done is, and it needs to be done very quickly, because just sort of double checking my phone, not to get an accurate reading of the forecast. But they're actually talking about the potential for snow on Sunday.
Mhm.
So I would think that whatever is going to be done as far as putting hay down in this area, it needs to be done between now and Saturday. Prior to the snow coming. I don't think there's rain today, but then again, it's snow on Sunday, then another 4 days later, some more snow and then rain. So this needs to be done pretty quickly as far as getting the hay down to help stabilize the site, at least through the winter time.
Nope, I agree. And Byron, if you're not able to get a hold of George, then I mean, you need to work with your contractor and tell him exactly what we're explaining to him, and let him know he can call me as well. I mean, you don't have to have the seed, maybe he does throw some seed in the hydro seed, or he doesn't. He just has the tactifier that sticks to that ground, so you don't have any erosion.
All right, I'll call a company in the morning, and then I'll give you a call.
Okay.
But I think this has got to be done by Saturday.
Yeah, and Bruce,
And we've had a month to do it and it hasn't been done yet, so.
yeah, and this is not George's responsibility as I see it. This is the homeowner's responsibility. We can't use George as an excuse for sitting on it for 20 days.
Yes, sir. I agree.
And Bruce, I'm assuming that you'll go ahead and let me know what's going on.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
I won't be, I'll probably have to update one of our staff on there because, but like I said, before I'm flying out on Monday, I'm going to Florida for my son's college graduation. So Saturday, I'll be able to update you before I leave. But if anything next week, I'll have to work with Shannon or Garrett in our
No,
office.
that's fine. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, it's not as happy a report as I would have hoped, but
Yeah.
it is what it is. But again, we need to get this taken care of by Saturday. So before snow starts hitting, last thing I want to see is this area be subject to a whole lot of erosion and sedimentation issues. So at least any more than it already is. So I
Okay,
think that's kind of where we're at with it.
anything else? For the question on that?
Any other commissioners have any comments?
No.
Doesn't sound like it, so I think that may be our
All right, but
at
Byron,
this
get,
point in time.
Call the company a call in the morning.
all right, sir.
For Saturday. All right, thank you.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Are you bringing this up under planners report, or do we want to do election of officers?
No, you're right. No, I was waiting for you. Sorry, I was just filling in the, I was filling in the dead space as I was, as you guys, I was waiting for you guys. I just uploaded
Okay.
the next set of plans, so, sorry.
So one of the things we need to do is elect officers. So any comments from the folks out there?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion to nominate Robert Hannon for president, Robert Eisner for vice president, and Ned Stachin for secretary.
I'm assuming though by president you mean chair.
I was waiting for that one. Promotion.
I didn't realize it was quite that simple.
I didn't even
If you
say
look
what it was a president of what, you know?
If you're looking for a
That's
second.
still
then
above all
Mark
our
would
pay
second
grade.
it.
All right, I will amend the motion to for chair
Second it.
and
Mark
vice
would
chair.
second it.
Can you nominate yourself?
I don't know. If you get a second, I guess.
We did it last year.
We need a second for that
Yes, we
nomination.
do.
Dave will second all
And
three. of them.
Mark said second.
Any discussion? Anybody else want it?
Yeah.
Going
Nope.
once?
Nope.
Nope.
It sounds like the start of the meeting, Bruce.
What's that?
Nobody wanted to comment. All right, so we have a slate of officers proposed. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, abstaining. Okay, so you got us for another year.
All right,
Thank you.
sir. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Guys, all joking aside, I want to thank you. It's a very great, good job everybody does. I like this.
I agree. I mean, I'm very happy and proud of the work that people do here.
Yes. All right. Here is the planners report. Under planners report, we were approached by Trump. If you guys remember,
Make sure there's an F on the end of that.
I think I put the F, didn't I? Oh,
Not the way
Yeah,
you
you did.
say it.
all right, Trump. And they put the addition on the building, and you guys had approved it. Since then, they have come back to make some slight modifications. One of them was this driveway here. It's a very big intersection, and they were having troubles with the island in the middle and with the delivery trucks coming in to make that turn. So in lieu of just getting rid of the island, we had them actually increase the pervious area by actually angling the driveway here and making this all grass again. So that's one change. The other change is they're going to increase these radiuses over here again, so the truck can make the turn. They've added a nitrogen and oxygen tank platform over here, and those will feed. And those will actually feed the new addition. As part of that, there was a landscaped island here that they need to get rid of because the vehicle, when it's offloading, it takes about, I think they said about a half an hour. So that truck's sticking out to here. So they don't want to block this if a car has to leave. So if a car has to leave, they'll come out and sneak out through here and go right out that way.
Bruce, question.
Good.
Back with the first part you started. So was that originally straight out to the road and now you had them angle it so that it's an easier?
Yeah,
turning
let me,
radius?
you know what? Let me do this. Let me bring back the original plan. Maybe that'll help.
You don't have to, I'm just saying, so that went straight out to the road and then,
No, yeah, it wasn't, it's still an interior.
okay.
It's still an interior
Oh, all
drive.
right, okay. yeah.
Where's the site plan? Why don't I have site plan? Functions. Or narrative addition. Here we go. There we go. Got so many names on this stuff. All right.
Much information.
I know. Where's it? It's been cut off by all the other stuff
Yeah.
there.
They cut that bird off.
Oh. All right, let me go back here. I'll show you.
Right there.
Yeah, I'll use this one here. So if you can see, right now, there was a little island here. So there's a drive here and there's a driveway here. So so what they wanted to do was get rid of most of this island. So it would have left a very big impervious area. So what we had them do is just close this off and just make this the drive now. So now it's the vehicles come in and cut through. If you've ever been out there, it's kind of a no man's land.
Yeah,
Cars don't know which way they go, which lane they're supposed to be in. So Trump was actually on board with it and wanted and said that was a great idea. So that way it's now it's a two lanes, pretty easy to understand. So.
okay, I got it. No, thank you.
All right. The other comment was they've added this. Oh, that's right. They added a building here for dumps for the wood pallets. So it'll be enclosed, three-sided enclosed structure for all their wood pallets. They've added some more dumpster pads in here. They've added a sidewalk along here and out to there. The only reason I wanted it to go in front of the commission because it is an increase in impervious area slightly. It was only 0.4%. I think it was a 0.04. What would I say there? Yeah, it was only 0.1%. So it's a very minor increase over the whole property, which a lot of it is wetlands. So there is quite a bit of pervious area on site. There was some back and forth. This is going to be a paint booth area. They're going to do a lot of manufacturing of. They're going to come in with raw steel, cut it, and build their laser machines and paint them. So we were going back and forth with DEP regarding the aquifer protection regulations. So that's all been resolved. How we handle that. Our town planner Shannon Rutherford is going to be bringing this to the TPZ on Monday as well. So we thought we'd just run it by you guys as well to close all the gaps. I have the engineer and the applicants are online. If anyone has any questions that I can't answer.
And just so people know, I mean, I talked to Bruce about this. I really don't have any particular issues with this. But I thought it'd be a good idea to just bring it back to the commission and let folks at least know what's going on and see if you have any concerns with it or comments. So Rich, we'll start with you. Anything?
No, I don't have any questions or concerns.
Okay, Dave.
No questions.
Thank you, Robert.
No questions.
Thanks, Neil.
No questions.
Thank you, Mark.
No questions.
Thank you, Ned.
No questions, thank you.
All right, so I think basically what we're saying is this is something that staff can deal with.
Yes.
So I think
The
that-
applicant, I know Will, I know.
Right, Bruce?
But yeah, I just want to just run Will Walter, the engineers on board, and I also have a couple of people from Trump as well. So if anyone, if they want to add anything, if I missed something, please feel free to jump in.
I think you covered it.
All right, great. All right, everyone, thank you for that.
Thanks for bringing it to our attention.
No problem.
You have anything else with planners report?
That was it for planners report, sir.
Okay, next on the agenda, approval of the minutes from November 2nd, 2022. wetlands meeting and the November 20th, 2022 site walk notes. Somebody care to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve, Ned.
Is there a second?
Second, Rich?
Okay, thank you. Have a motion on the floor to approve the minutes of the November 2nd, 2022 Wetlands Commission meeting and the November 20th, 2022 site walk notes. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Abstaining? So be it. That does it for the Wetlands Commission meeting. So I've got like 8:10, give or take a minute, and go to the Conservation Commission meeting. If you want to put the agenda up, Bruce, because I can't find mine right now. I don't think there was much on it.
Yeah, there's nothing on it. You know what? I don't think I actually posted it. Give me, I'm sorry.
Well, I printed it.
But yeah, I didn't put it on the screen, but yeah, we have here just nothing on it other than approving the minutes for November 2nd.
Okay. So with that being the case, can I get a motion to approve the Conservation Commission meeting minutes of November 2nd, 2022?
So move, Mark.
Is there a second?
Dave will second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
And we'll close it like 8:11.